Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California, and I'm just having a cup of coffee and trying to work out my dilemma because I'm being invaded by birds that I have never seen the numbers like this before. I figured I'd take you with me with my thoughts, that's all, and try to figure out what I'm going to do. And I'll turn the camera around so you can watch something while I talk for a few minutes. So this is my kitchen area that I feed a lot of hummingbirds in. And we have had hundreds and hundreds. I don't know if we're quite into the thousands yet because they're not quite migrating through. The hummingbirds are fine. A lot of these birds you're seeing right now are young birds that were raised here. And, well, the other problem I've got is the Orioles. Now, we always have had Orioles here. That's never been an issue. I've always had a couple, and they really didn't come that much to the feeders. Occasionally, I would see them come to the feeders. And yes, this is the area that I do some of my work in. I love this area. This is where I think a lot of you have seen where I had the computer set up and then Gary dragged everything into the living room. And now this is all open so I can try to do something. The lighting's not the greatest in here, but I'm working on it. But now I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I got 50 pounds of sugar today ordered and delivered early this morning, first order from Walmart. And what I'm trying to do is make sure I don't run out, because during the beginning of the lockdown, the pandemic, I had sugar. I was never out, but I was down to about I think I had 50 pounds or 100 pounds. I can't remember at the time. And that scares me because I can go through a 25-pound sack of sugar, white granulated sugar, sometimes in a matter of 2 or 3 days. But what's going on now is, you see now, they're a little shy, the Orioles. The hummingbirds are not. Is the Orioles have had babies all over the place. And they have now followed the hummingbirds here. Not just the pairs that have had babies here, but the ones that were nesting in other places. And they've come here now. And they have come, I'm going to say dozens, but it's probably far more than that. They're not aggressive. They don't beat up the hummingbirds. They don't do anything like that. But what they do is they irritate them. The hummingbirds get really frustrated. See the avocado tree? I don't know if you can see that. Out, you can't really see them. They're out there. I'll try to zoom in on them. They are young, so they're kind of more browny. They haven't really turned that yellow. The females are yellowish brown, and the males, of course, these are hooded Orioles mainly, and they're bright yellow with the black hood on them. And they have been coming in and getting all the hummingbird food. They follow the hummingbirds. If they see hummingbirds go somewhere, they're smart. They go. It's kind of like hummingbirds. If you put out a feeder and you don't have any hummingbirds, but you end up with one, the one will bring others. That's just how it works because they learn from the others. See, they're even in the orange trees. I know my window is kind of got a glare on it. I should have cleaned up. Those are Orioles flying through there. They don't want me sitting here because normally I don't sit here. They're all over my deck, and I have made them their own feeders. They like drinking out of bowls, so I made a pizza feeder for them. I can show you here how I made it. It was very, very simple. It's a toy pizza. I bought it years ago at the store for a couple bucks, and you can get them online. I think eBay's got them. I can put a link to it. They're like $6, $6 or $7. The reason I like the kids' toy pizza is not just for looks. I mean, it is cute. You can pick out a bowl that the pizza pieces will fit in, and it's non-toxic because they're made for kids, so the plastic is fine. I make holes in the pizza in case they want to drink in between, because hummingbirds like to look for holes, so they'll drink in the holes in the pizza. But you can put the pizza, after you put the holes in it, and it's up to you if you want to put holes, but I do like putting holes. You can put the pizza in a bowl, any glass, ceramic bowl, anything you want, and then fill it about maybe 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch of sugar water. The same recipe I feed the hummingbirds, which is 1/4 of a cup of granulated white sugar and 1 cup of water. I've got the recipe exactly how I mix it, with a little hot water in the beginning, melt it down, then top it with cold water. And of course, I don't make that small amount because I have to make a lot at one time. That would be like, for me, 1 feeder really, or 2. But I put that out and they feed out of it. They love it. And it keeps them clean. So if anybody lands on top, they can land on top of the pizza and they stay nice and clean. See? These are young Orioles. These are young ones. I just found the nest at this late of the game. I can't believe in summer already. I just found an Oriole nest in Gary's banana plants. But anyways, this way they can land on it if they want to stand on top of it, and they can drink through. Yes, that was an Oriole that was going to come in. And they have come in. Do not kid yourself. I had to chase one down the other day and get it out of the house. They found my screen door open and they came in. But they can land on top of the pizza and they can feed on top, and they won't get sticky, even though they're taking baths all over the yards here and everything. My dilemma is, I feel so bad for the hummingbirds. We've got feeders in the garden. I've got feeders on my deck. And this is their favorite spot. The window here is their favorite spot. I think they feel secure. See how it's up against the house? Well, in this particular area, the way it's situated up against the house, it's multiple things. Right now it's in the shade, but then late in the day it will get very sunny, and they still drink out of it. And I think they also know that there's no way that a predator could get them. That's part of it. That wouldn't be all of it, but part of it. Because when a hawk comes in, they swoop when they get a bird. And when they swoop, they can grab it. But there's no way to swoop because the hawk would have to come in here and hit the wall of the house. So they won't do that. I've seen the hawks sitting out here in the trees, but they have never attempted to get anything here. That could be part of it. The other thing is they got used to it. This is where the hummingbird nested in the back there. The hook is still there. And that could be why they like it here too. It might be a lot of young ones that were raised here and then they went and had babies and they brought their babies back. I'm in the middle trying to make a shelf there. I don't know if you can see the shelf. So maybe I can put something else there right now. I'm trying to figure out what to do. So my dilemma is, well, I would say how to get rid of the Orioles. Because the hummingbirds want to come in. At night they try to come in by the hundreds. And the Orioles, they flutter. And I think that's why the hummingbirds don't like them. See how they flutter? And when they leave a hummingbird feeder, they spring. So the hummingbird feeder will flip. See, like that one is flipping back and forth. You can see it swinging. Hummingbirds are gentle. They're like little helicopters. They come in and they land. Where the Orioles come in, and when they take off, they lunge. Here comes one. I don't know if we can see it. See, they're landing on the Christmas lights right now. When they leave a hummingbird feeder, they fling it because they're powerful birds. So they're more... Yeah, that was hummingbird, just flew through from one window to the other. So I don't know, it's kind of like a bittersweet thing because in about a month or two, all these Orioles will be gone. One day I'll get up in the morning, I'll put their pizza tray out on the deck and nobody will come. They'll be all gone. They basically work like that. It's time to go. Their little clock tells them, nope, we got to go south. And they take off and they leave. And then all of a sudden there won't be any more and they won't come back until early spring. And even though I miss them, I don't miss them because I know the hummingbirds are very happy because we have thousands upon thousands of hummingbirds that now stay here and winter here. So this way they're all left alone. All these feeders are full and they're sitting right here. They're literally 3 feet from me. I'm sitting right on top of them. Isn't this cute? This is amazing. And so I told the story on this. I really didn't want to drag this out too long. You have to remember, I started posting the hummingbirds, I believe, in 2017 when the first hummingbird came and nested on that hook. Before that, a few years before that, we only had 1 or 2 hummingbirds. Rarely saw hummingbirds around here. I started putting out feeders on, it was funny, on the deck I hung up these fishing poles with flag hooks, like the big hooks, I don't know what you call them, the flag poles will slip into them. So I had flag poles and I had fishing poles out there, long gone, that I started putting the hummingbird feeders out on the deck. And then this came later because going back to where it nested, that hummingbird nested on the hook on the other kitchen window back there, the bigger feeder. And once her babies started opening their eyes, I didn't want to swing it in anymore and change the feeder. She wanted it changed. She'd scream and scream when the feeder was empty. So I would swing it in and clean the feeder and put it back. So that's how these feeders all started here. I started hanging extra feeders and I took it down and that was it. I didn't put it back until the babies left because they don't know me and I didn't want to spook them. She knows me, but the moment their eyes were open, I didn't want to take a chance. So that's how I ended up with the feeders. So when I started putting the feeders here, she didn't shush the other birds away. She let them feed out of the feeder. So it went from 1 feeder to 2 feeders to what? 5, 6 feeders here out the window. And that's how it all went. So that's it. I just have to figure out how I'm going to get enough sugar to feed all these birds and enough space. I want the hummingbirds to have their own space and I don't want them bothered. I don't want to use the word spooked because they're all out here. The hummingbirds are out there right now. The orioles are out there right now. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. Yes, I'm just sitting here trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. So I put another pizza tray out there. So now there's 2 pizza trays. I made a Oriole feeder out of a peanut butter jar. And that's worked out pretty good because I can make a reservoir out of a peanut butter jar. Figure that, look at my table here. This is my table where I do my mad scientist work. Look at that. No, this is where I like working, and sometimes I work late at night. And it's so pretty out here. So I work here, but this is also where the hummingbirds come and feed. And look, my sister just gave me that hummingbird. Cool. So I hung that. It's plastic, but it looks like crystal. All right, so I've kind of talked your ear off. Got to deal with these orioles. About a month ago, there were a few. So we've had a few come in and they would feed from the feeders, but their numbers grew. And now that their numbers have grown, they've brought their babies back and other babies in the area, could be miles away. You know, they were flying through and they saw the hummingbirds and so they're all parked themselves here. And there's some peanut butter cup there. And they like drinking out of that too. See the new shelf? That's a new shelf. That's a bed rail. I'm trying to figure out, I might put a shelf across there and I might take that little shelf Gary built me, put another one across there so I'll have like an L-shaped shelf. And I did that this morning. So we'll see what happens. That's it. So I'm just going to finish my coffee and work on a couple of videos that some of you have been screaming about, like my sun sale that I didn't get up. And that's it. So I'm going to go do that and figure out what I'm going to do with all these hummingbirds and all these orioles and how to make everybody happy. And I'm going to continue to buy sugar. So every time I put an order in with Walmart, because I haven't gone to the grocery store since March, Friday the 13th was the last visit to a grocery store. Been just ordering everything and working from home and working in the garden. This is so beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that young Oriole there? He's feeding with the hummingbird. Can you see that? Okay, he just left. They will come in and they'll all sit together. So that's nice. That I'm happy about. But I just feel sorry for the hummingbirds. They get so angry. I added in an extra feeder there. I sometimes put a second one there, and I don't know. It seems like no matter how many I add in, the orioles come in and decide they want that one too. The only other thing I could do, and I would not do that, is they cannot feed out of hummingbird feeders with bee guards on it. See the one from the dollar store, the 99-cent store? They cannot feed out of it. They have ways of doing it, and they figured it out. What they can do, if they're desperate, is they can sit on that feeder, the small one, and they can swing real hard, so it will spill on them. They're dirty eaters too. They flick their food out of the bowl, but they can swing and get little bits out of it. But I don't want to discourage them. I'm not trying to shush them out. I'm just trying to figure out how to make everybody happy. Seems like the more feeders I get, the more birds come in. I just ordered some more feeders from Walmart. Those feeders here, they still have them online. They're under $4, and I made the holes bigger so the orioles can feed out of it, but I also made them bigger because the slits are way too small. Way too small for the hummingbirds. The ones here do not like it. They stick their head in and they get really nervous. You can see they start to shake and then they fly off because there's something about, I think what it is when the slits are that small, then they put their beak in, they can feel their beak on both sides being touched by the slit. It's a very narrow slit in that one when it first comes. And it makes them nervous because if they get it stuck and they move sideways, they can break their beak. So I make the hole bigger, kind of like a flower. You know, a flower is soft. They don't want to feel that they're trapped. So I readjust it for them. And I also make the hole bigger enough so even the Orioles can feed out of it. Now, sometimes later on in the summer, we can have a bee invasion. The bees, when it gets closer to winter, want to store more food, and that's when they come to the feeders and they start to irritate me. And they do irritate me because the hummingbirds do not like the bees. At that point, I do have to switch over a lot of feeders. It usually doesn't last long. It's usually about a week. I switch over all feeders with the yellow flowers, and the hummingbirds can feed out of them, but the bees cannot. At that point, the Orioles are gone anyway, so it doesn't matter. Usually they're gone. That's it. See if you can see. No, that's them. They're flying back and forth. So that's my dilemma. I will continue to order sugar in case something goes on later on in the year when the holiday hits and there's no sugar. I don't want to run out of sugar because I don't know what I would say to these birds. They can get so loud. The Orioles, when they're here, when their bowl runs out, look at this, he's in the house. When their bowl runs out, they scream. They do like their pizza bowl full. They have 2 pizza bowls. And of course, when the feeders start to run low, they never run out. I never let them run out. There's always at least one feeder out there with them. Even in the morning, before I get up, there's one feeder at least still full. They still get loud because they'll come to their favorite feeder and they start squealing and squealing in there. It's like so loud. So that's that. So that's my dilemma, is how am I going to deal with all these? We've now gone from a couple hummingbirds to hundreds of hummingbirds to thousands, which we're going to have soon as they migrate back. That will be later, a little bit later, when they start coming from up north and heading south. They end up parking themselves here and living here. And dealing with the hundreds and hundreds of hummingbirds, as well as now, like I said, I'm saying dozens and dozens of Oreos, but there could be hundreds because sometimes I come out here and that tree is just full. And they're all over the place, so I'm not sure how many. I haven't done a count on them. So I hope you enjoyed this. It's just a chit-chat. Me sitting here with all my projects. Want to plant lettuce in that. That is a winter project. You'll see that later. That is working out fabulous. And doing another hummingbird feeder out of an ice cream container, which has worked out really good. And working on water fountains. I have got the cutest water fountains set up, and I've got to get that video up soon. Okay, well, I better start my day. I can sit here all day. This is terrible. This is how sometimes it's hard to get something done because this is just so cute. Well, I better start my day. Otherwise, you guys aren't going to see a video from me. Have a great day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye, everybody.